Hi, thanks for joining me in my kitchen again for Community Eats. So today we will be making bulgogi. We're gonna marinate together and later we're gonna cook with my friend Chris, who is the one that gave me the recipe. Let me clarify before I say this. It says these are just guesses for her recipe. Basically, it's all to taste. So take that to heart. You can also make changes for anything, and I'll show you one of the changes I am going to make later. We are trying to be good with refined sugars and flour. I did not get this physique eating that way. However, I am trying to better myself as we are all locked in, and so we are cutting out on things like that. So let's go. This recipe calls for 2 to 3 pounds of ribeye meat. I did go shopping with Chris. This is 4 1/4 pounds. So we will have some of this left over. I will probably take some of these off and my family will enjoy some steak and eggs. So we will do about 2.5 pounds for my family size. We did get this at H Mart. That seems to be a great place to go. I could be lost in that store forever and buy it all up if I had the opportunity. So that's what we will use for the meat. First, however, we make the marinade, taste it, and then put the meat in at the end. So it calls for 1 to 2 onions sliced thinly. I like a sweet yellow onion in general. I'm not a huge onion fan, not a fan of the texture, but I love the flavor. So as long as it cooks down, or I use powders all the time, then we are good there. I was asking Chris, as I do with other people, what recipes mean family to her. She is half Korean and half Kentuckian. Her dad is from Harlan County. So my dad is also from Harlan County. But growing up, she ate a mixture of things on an everyday basis that I did not even think of. Kimchi, hot dogs, and rice. But things like bulgogi and some other things we will make together are things that she got to have on special occasions. Because the ribeye and just steak in general is much more expensive than rice, hot dogs, and kimchi, that is what she remembers as far as nostalgia. And these were things that she would eat for special celebrations. But we will talk with her later about that. So the first ingredient is 1 to 2 thinly sliced onions. I marinate in Ziploc bags. You can marinate however you would like. So, I will say if something is really acidic, you don't want to put it in a plastic Tupperware or an aluminum bowl or Tupperware type thing if you can help it. And with this, we have a good amount of soy sauce going in, so I'm not sure that I would marinate in either of those. But again, that is totally up to you. So for this, it's 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. We're gonna punch them open and take out some pieces. I like garlic. Again, do it to taste. I like flavor in general, so what we are doing with my Community Eats page is just showing you that there are lots of different ways that people eat in our communities, and I like the ways that have lots and lots of flavor. That tends not to be, if you think of traditional United States cuisine, unless you are from Louisiana, there's not a plethora of foods that have come out of the States. And so I go for things that have lots of spice, lots of flavor. And spice not meaning spicy. Spice meaning cinnamon's a spice. And I don't think most people think of that as being spicy. And so I would agree with that. All right. So there is our chopped garlic. I did 4. I do like garlic a lot. So does my family. One of them was massive, so I feel like I did 6. So we'll put him in the bag. Don't know why he's a he, but he is today. Because I cut him? That sounds wrong. So we have that done, and then a cup of soy sauce. I use a lot of soy sauce in general. Again, cooking more on Asian, Indian, South American, Central American. It's interesting where you find those combinations of flavors, and a lot of times there is soy sauce in things you wouldn't think, and I add it to a lot instead of salt if I can, even though I do have the low salt version of the soy sauce. So sesame oil. I finally read the sesame oil the other day. I had been keeping it in with all my other spices, which happen to be exposed to the sun, and it says not to do that. It says to keep it in a cool, dark place, and so it has now found its way into the cabinet. So 3 tablespoons of that. When you cook with people, you tell stories about why this means something to you, or it'll bring up a memory. You also see how people measure. So I do know in this 1/4 cup measurements that she has for the next things that are brown sugar and white sugar, she does heaping cups. I have eaten her bulgogi before. I've also had her mother's. I've had many others as well. I do not have as much of a sweet tooth for things with sweet and savory mixtures. And I mentioned that I was trying to cut down on the refined sugars. What I use is xylitol. It is natural, so it is kid friendly that way, or human friendly that way. And I'm going to add a little molasses. So instead of doing a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of white sugar, I'm doing 1/3 cup of white sugar and a tablespoon of molasses. She says taste it at the end, so we will do that. This also, the xylitol is not ground as finely as most regular white sugars are. So the soy sauce will be good for breaking it down, and it'll mix in there, but it will take a little longer. So if you're going to use something like this kind of product, I would marinate it for slightly longer than advised normally, which is really a few hours to overnight. She says 24 hours is probably not ideal. It might be a little long and make the meat tough in the end. So take that for what you will. So that was our white sugar, and then we will do our molasses. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. No, I'll use this. But I'm going to do a tablespoon, a shy tablespoon, not a full tablespoon. Because while there is molasses in brown sugar, right, that's why it's brown, they haven't refined it all the way down, so there's still some of that molasses base in it. It on its own is extremely strong and used in lots of things like gingerbread and such, but not often as a substitute for brown sugar, at least not in my house. All right, a pinch of black pepper. I really like pepper. I'm going to add slightly more than a pinch. She said that sesame seeds are optional. I had purchased this before reading the ingredients, but also before using this. This is my first time, so we will use this, and I will again just eyeball it. That looks like a good, probably a little bit more than a tablespoon to me. Then she also says, remember, she's just doing this from memory and what she's been doing for years, and there's not a written recipe, which I feel like most great recipes are that way. And it gives you the opportunity to kind of put your own spin on it if you would like. So we have powdered ginger and fresh ginger. I'm going to go for the fresh because I have it, and that's what I'll use. So I'll just peel it really quick. And then it's easier to peel when it's on the big stump, and then I'll just cut the little stump off and mince that away. You may notice I'm using a spoon. Chris and I have cooked together before, and she has peeled many a ginger in her life and had never used a spoon. I watched it or read it somewhere, and that's the only way I have peeled ginger for probably the past 5 to 7 years, and so it just takes the right amount off. It gets into some of the little crevices that are hard to get into with a knife and hold it and not cut yourself and all that fun stuff. So that is what I use to peel it. So I will now mince this up all into the bag. And I missed an ingredient, of course I did. So she says, let's see, we need 2 to 3 tablespoons of mirin. I'm gonna go with 2. My mirin has a darker color, which I'm not sure if you can see. It's almost a little bit lighter than the soy sauce. She said she has never seen a mirin other than clear. I don't really know what the difference is. She doesn't know what the difference is. When we talk later, I will have her show us hers and we'll know from there. So why do I use a bag? A, I don't have to wash anything. B, if you want to, you can rinse them out and reuse them. So if you do want to do them that way. I will multi-purpose this and use it for something else after I take this out. So my spoon will probably be a little gingery, considering that is what I use to peel the ginger, but I want to make sure our flavors are good. There is a lot of soy sauce. So remember, sugar is going to be finer than the xylitol I used. The xylitol will take a while to break down. So instead of adding more sugar now, which it definitely needs, all the other flavors are good right now, but it does need a hit more of sugar. I'm not gonna add it now. I may add it later because the xylitol over the next couple hours will break down and then sweeten it. So I'll come back and do that. So I am just gonna throw my 2.5 pounds of meat, or as much as I can fit in this bag, in here, seal it, and get it in the fridge. I think steak and eggs for dinner tomorrow night sounds awesome. I'm very handsy. You can use a pair of tongs or whatever you wish to use this to go from one to the other. I will put this in here, wash my hands, seal it up, and in the fridge it will go. Thanks for joining me. When we come back, we are going to cook our bulgogi. My friend Chris Newman has joined us as we cook our bulgogi. And Chris and I talked about a couple things on the phone. I was asking her if she washes her rice, and she said she does. I do not. She also has a rice cooker. I also do not have one of those. So you put it on rice, right? Is there anything else people put it on, like cellophane noodles or rice noodles or anything ever, or always rice?
No, you can have it however you want. I mean, they do like, like Bulgogi tacos. You can do really anything you feel. You just get creative with it. You can look up those food trucks and see what their ideas are, like what they do. But you can do like little rice bowls. You can do noodle bowls. If you do the potato starch noodles, marinate it up with or cook it. Different recipe. But you can put it on anything you want, really.
So I did mention earlier, because we have talked several times about things, but that you were saying for traditional foods, your traditional growing up, that you would eat rice and kimchi with hot dogs.
That's not traditional. That was just my mom.
That's your tradition, so it's traditional to you.
Yeah, because every family has their own, like, I don't know, lazy food, I guess you can say. So
Mine's quesadillas.
Huh?
I said I do quesadillas.
See, exactly. Everyone has like their own thing, and so ours was always just rice, hot dogs, and kimchi. Now I did other crazy, not so appetizing stuff growing up, but that was the the basic was just pretty much hot dog, rice, and kimchi.
I dig it. You see, it is after 5 o'clock for anybody. It's almost 6. Chris can't drink, but I have this fun mug, cup, wine glass that I filled just ever so slightly. So I don't have a rice cooker, as I mentioned before. So my ratio for this is 2 to 1. So Chris has never made rice on the stovetop. So if you were doing it on the stovetop, I would say follow the directions on whatever rice you have, because there's so many kinds out there now. I use a long grain, usually basmati or something like that. What kind of rice do you usually use?
We use, it's a like a medium grain rice.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's no, it's not like, what is it, aromatic? Is that how you say it? It doesn't have as much aroma or flavor as like jasmine rice, but it's still good.
The jasmine rice I used to use all the time has been, I guess, discontinued, and so I'm sad about it. But so in asking Chris what we were cooking this in, she said that she will cook it on a grill sometimes, but in a pan is the best way to cook it because the juices get to stay left over. I happen to have a grill pan, so I'm going to use both and see what my family likes best. What do you use it?
I'm going to use a pot to cook mine, just because I'm being lazy. I already had it out, so I'm just going to use a pot. But you can use whatever you want.
I used a baggie for this, so.
I know.
It's okay. And so I asked Chris, because we went grocery shopping together, what I was supposed to do with the carrot. She said that some people do carrot. Her mom likes carrot. She does not like warm carrots, so she does not use it. So I have a grater that just makes strips, but I cannot find it. So I cut tiny slits into this, and I'm just going to use a regular peeler. So I get like little strips versus this 1.5 to 3 inch thick pieces. So you tell me when I do that. Start us off, my friends. Oil, you said, right?
Yes. Just a little bit, just to coat the bottom of the pan.
Okay. So I'll put the bottom of 2 pans. And Chris said not to use olive oil, or she doesn't use olive oil. She uses either
vegetable or avocado oil is what I like.
Great. So those are lighter. We talked about the viscosity of olive oil before, and it just also has a flavor. So if you don't want that flavor, obviously you don't cook with it. So we're not going to cook with that. My rice is boiling, so here's your 2-second information on how I make rice. So rice, the water boils, which is why you can't wash it in the container that you boil it in without then dumping it out backwards. Yeah. I was telling Chris that I would be happy to wash my rice, but my strainer is momentarily being used as a pool skimmer until Annette gets here for our mini pool in the backyard due to being locked in for COVID. So this is 2 to 1. Stir it. Put the lid back on. And crank it all the way down the low. Lemon squeezy. How long will you keep rice for?
How long do we keep rice for?
Yeah.
And the rice, well, our rice cooker is kind of old, so it keeps about maybe 2-3 days max.
So the rice cooker keeps the rice in it?
Yeah, you keep it on warm, so it keeps it warm. Ours is a pressure cooker style, but it will keep it warm for about 2 to 3 days before it starts to turn brown.
I'm learning all sorts of things today. Wonders and mercies, I learn from you every day. Okay.
What?
I said I learn from you every day, and today is your so I'm turning my burners on. Where should we be with these? I will. Yeah, I said, what should the burners be on?
Oh, I mean, it depends on how fast you want it to cook. I don't ever really cook anything on high, so mine's always about medium, just because I don't want to burn it too quick. I like the juice. My family likes the juice. So we usually do about medium high.
Okay.
Medium.
So I have mine just under medium because I'm on the power burners.
You're on the what?
The power burners?
Oh, yeah, because you have the nice gas ones, right?
I do.
Yeah, I don't. I like those. I like the gas ones.
You will one day. I just saw Mark pass, so he will walk into the middle of this video, of course. So, so do you just pile it on, or do you put it piece by piece? How do you load yours up?
You know, I just dump it in. I mean, everyone, I guess, has a way. I just dump it in. And I always, well, for mine, because mine's not in a bag, so I always pull from the bottom because that's what's been marinating the longest or has the most juice.
So how long has yours been marinating? Mine has been marinating for about 6 hours at this point.
I marinated mine yesterday, so it's been over 24 hours, or about 24 hours.
You did mention to me, this is going to get loud. You did mention to me at one point that you don't usually love, and I know why you did this time. You don't usually
Do what?
You don't usually like to do it for that long. You would rather do it for like 12 hours or less. What is the reason behind that usually?
For 12 hours or less? No, I like to marinate it longer. The longer it marinates, the better.
Well, that was my error in hearing. I thought you said it did something to the meat.
Do what?
I thought you had mentioned it did something to the meat if you did it so long. So earlier I mentioned that in the video.
Okay, so what were you saying? Say it again.
This morning, afternoon, I had mentioned that I thought you said you don't like to do it for longer than 12 hours because it did something to the meat, but that was me hearing something incorrectly.
Oh, no, I like to marinate it I like to marinate it overnight at least, but I mean, you can marinate it for like a minimum of like 30 minutes to an hour if you're pressed for time. Or if you're my mother-in-law, you just kind of mix it all together and throw it into a pot because, you know, it'll just cook in its juice. But if you want the meat to soak in more of the flavor, then obviously the longer you marinate it, the better.
I won't tell her that you said that.
Do what?
I won't tell her that you said that and just threw her under the bus.
Oh no, she's really creative when she yeah, that is. When she does her stuff, she can, I mean, it tastes really good. She's super creative in how she does it. She calls it her fast Bulgogi.
You said
Yes.
your mom sweetens with fruit. Does your
My mom-
mother-in-law do anything special to it?
No, sometimes she'll add in some vegetables, like whatever vegetables. She likes vegetables too, just like my mom. So whatever she has on hand, she'll throw in like carrots, broccoli. She's done peppers. She just likes to just throw stuff in to give it a little extra flair. Sometimes cabbage. She likes cabbage in hers.
Ellie, my daughter, said, I hope yours is as good as Miss Chris's. And I said, well,
Oh, great.
we shall see.
It will be phenomenal.
So other than bulgogi, how do you say it? How is it said for real?
How's it been what?
How do you say bulgogi for real? How do you say it?
Oh, just like that. Bulgogi.
Okay. What
Yeah.
do you remember being like special occasion meals?
Just bulgogi.
What about mandu?
Mandu. Yeah, it's just mandu. Like it's funny because, you know, growing up, you know, we always call it yaki mandu. So every time I would tell my mom or, you know, talk about it, I'm like, yeah, you know, yaki mandu or whatever. If friends are around, the looks that I would get because I'm saying yucky, which kind of sounds like yucky. So they're like, what is that? That does not sound good.
No, yucky does not sound appetizing.
Yeah.
What is a dish that you make now that your family loves? Or you can
A
go by
dish?
person.
Huh?
What's a dish you make now that your family loves?
Oh, it's not Korean food. They, it depends on who's asking. So when little Tony comes, he always asks for either etouffee or he asks for Salisbury steak. Alina, she kind of likes, she always craves different things. She doesn't really have a favorite. And Thomas always wants me to make fried chicken sandwiches. I don't know why, but he likes fried chicken sandwiches.
Who doesn't?
That's true. That's so true. And he's so cute because, the Popeyes fried chicken sandwiches, and then he doesn't like it. He's not a big fan. So he's always like, Mom, I don't like the Popeyes one. Can you make yours? I like yours better. So I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, you must want something right now, but that's so sweet.
What about Tony? Does he have a favorite?
Oh my gosh, he has everything is his favorite. Like, every time I make a dish or whatever, he's like, I think this is my new favorite, or or whatever. Like, this is my new favorite. He can never just pick one.
What about Liz? I will tell her you forgot her.
Liz likes Korean food, so anything Korean I make, she definitely likes. But she does like this. It's so simple. It's a ramen noodle casserole, and it has bacon and cheese in it. It's like a layered ramen noodle casserole with bacon and cheese, and she loves it.
Does your mother-in-law cook more Korean or more American food? Because your father-in-law, much like your father, is military and is from the States originally.
She cooks more American food.
Okay.
She'll do Korean food sometimes. She'll do a lot more when we visit because she knows I like it, but she does a lot more American food.
So do you cook yours until they get brown edges, or
Do what?
do you cook yours until they get brown edges?
I cook them until they're cooked, all the way through. It's just literally and it's just stir fry. It's just Korean stir fry. If you're adding carrots, you want to add those in so it can cook with the meat. But I just cook it until the meat is just cooked through. If we were making the ribs, like the kalbi, the short ribs, then those ones can be a little bit, a little bit more pinker if you wanted it to be, but bulgogi we just cook all the way through. At least I do. I can't speak for everyone else.
What is your favorite thing you make?
My favorite thing to make?
That you make, that you love, that you make for yourself.
I don't like to cook, if I'm being honest. I'm not one of those people. I cook because I have to, because, other than that. But I do like to bake sometimes or just make desserts. And one of my favorite things is to make a berry trifle, but I usually turn it into a parfait. So just like a berry parfait. Although I am kind of falling in love with this bourbon bread pudding that I've been playing with.
You are half from that Kentucky root.
Do what?
I said half of you does have that Kentucky roots, and we know they like bourbon.
Exactly. Now, my sister-in-law, she likes to make a lot of Korean food, and she's really good. She's someone who loves to cook. She likes to cook a lot.
Holly likes to cook. So do you cook it one day and just the amount you guys are going to eat and then cook the rest another day that's already marinated? Or is that just what happened this time?
You can. I mean, you can always, if you want, you can always cook it all at once, refrigerate the leftovers. If you don't want to have to cook it the next day. Otherwise, you can cook what's left the next day if you want, or you can just bag it and put it in the freezer. And then when you want to eat it, just take it out.
So Chris is actually the one that taught me how to make pho. Now, that's obviously Vietnamese, but where did you learn to make pho?
Oh, my sister's ex-boyfriend. So he was Vietnamese. They were together for about 10 years or so, but his brother-in-law did a lot of cooking, and he made the best pho. So he taught us how to make it.
It is really, really good. And the one that I have been taught a couple of different times, yours was the second and the last and my favorite. So that's the one I'm sticking with. And you told me one of the best things, which I never really thought about, because my family will do it for a day, maybe two, and then they are ready for something new to circulate in. But there's always so much broth, and that's what takes so long. And you told me I can freeze it. So I have a big tub in my freezer from when we made it last time.
Sure can. I love how you can freeze almost anything. It's amazing.
So when you do it in a pot, does it steam it first because there's so much in there, or does it cook up pretty, like brown and stuff?
It starts to steam at first, and then the juices from the meat start to kind of render. So it's very juicy. Like here, I'll show you. So I don't know if you can see. So it's very got lots of. Can you see the juice? I don't know if I need it.
No,
yeah. So.
Oh, you have a lot more than that.
Huh?
You have a lot more doing it that way than I do have doing it this way.
Yeah, I just dumped it all in here, and I dumped whatever I wanted to put in here. The juice, the kids, they like to put the juice over rice and kind of mix it in to give the rice a little bit of flavor. So I choose to do it this way. Bulgogi is also good with red leaf lettuce. Like to wrap it up in the red leaf lettuce with a little bit of like Korean paste sauce for people who like it's called doenjang, but it's like a soybean paste. Or you can mix it to make it, seasoned soybean paste. Or they sell it that way. Different things, but it's really good that way with some rice. So it's like the lettuce wrap, a lettuce with some rice and some bulgogi in it.
So I put a little bit more juice back in mine and just heated it up so I would have more juice to add over the rice, because as I mentioned, I really like yours, so I want to make sure I'm as close to that as I can.
I said it cooks pretty fast. Is yours still cooking or is it done?
It's only cooking because I added that sauce back in. As soon as I feel like it's probably killed anything that shouldn't be in there, just from the fridge.
Yeah.
Then I'll turn it off. So you serve yours over rice. So if we take a picture, obviously mine has carrots in some of it, but not in the stuff that I did on the grill pan. If you would take a picture of yours after you plate it for yourself or if I know you better, one of the other humans in your house. Will you send me a picture and we'll see if people can guess whose is whose?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, it's not going to be fancy or pretty. It'll just be on a plate.
No, that's totally fine.
Okay, it won't be over rice because I serve rice on the side, and then you put it over. So what we do is I usually put it onto a large serving plate, and then everybody has their plate or bowl with rice, however they want it. And then we just take, like community style, you just take it and pour it onto your plate or your bowl, how you want it.
That makes sense. You also have more people in your house. I plate them up individually because then that way I know what's supposed to touch and what's not supposed to touch for their liking, and then there's not as much complaining.
Okay, so that works.
You take a picture, that would be wonderful for me, please.
Plate it and send you a picture.
Well, thank you. And thank you for joining me on Community Eats.
Thanks for having me.
I love you. I'll see you later.
Bye. All right. Bye.